Ayo, it's a fire new clothing brand out of Jersey, and it go by the name of Wayne Flame. Make sure you go to WayneFlame.com for them exclusives. Shout out to the bro Squint Low. Shout out to the whole Brooklyn, the 90s, Flatbush, Brownsville, Marcus Garvey Village, St. John's and Utica, the whole Crown Heights, all the lowlifes out there, all them Brooklyn icons out there, all the Brooklyn fashion icons out there, all my uptown lowlifes, my Bronx lowlifes. You heard? Get at me, man. Z-Man, Suicide Polo with the ski man running around the hood like He-Man. You already know. Make sure y'all check that other low-life content I got on the channel too. Put in St. Lad's low-lifes and it's gonna pop up. And that's a fact. You heard? Comment gang, I need y'all to tear this to shreds. Know what I mean? If you from Brooklyn, you from New York, whatever borough you from, let me see them Statue of Liberty emojis in them comments to let me know you in here repping. You heard? Oxygen gang in the building. We in the building and we out the building. Unlike some of these other YouTubers that be hating. And that's a fact. The Genpop LLC at gmail.com. If you need promo, holla at me for my promo prices. They unbeatable. If you love what I'm doing on this channel, feel free to send me a Cash App donation, $ Genpop fam. You already know I appreciate it. Get at me, Z-Lord.
In 91, my mother decides to move up to Cali. So I have this whole low-life mentality. Now I have been running around on Martins, the whole Flatbush area, with mad low-lives. My man Clep, we end up being with Junior Mafia. I end up running around with him, learning boosting tactics. And now I'm with the boosting elite. I'm rocking the pieces. I'm doing what I do. I got the backpack. I'm linked with a couple of cats with John. I'm over on Kingston. I'm linked in now. But right as soon as I get in, my mom swooped me away and we moved to Cali. It was a gradual thing because, as everybody know about the low-life history, some of the heads is from St. John's and some is from MGV, right? So first thing off, I'm Muslim. So I spent a lot of time at Masjid Iqwa, which is on Utica and Eastern Parkway. And underneath that mosque was a McDonald's, and that's where a lot of the early lowlifes used to hang out. A lot of the early lowlifes used to hang out, and I used to get a glimpse of that from upstairs, but they used to always tell us to stay away from there. But one of the homies that was Muslim used to be hanging with them, which was Mustafa, and he lived like a couple of doors down from AV Rock. In that same building that Mustafa lived in, my uncle also lived in that building. So as a kid, I spent a lot of time there seeing lowlifes and not really knowing them personally, just seeing the whole movement early, seeing the boost and the backpacks, the low. But even before the low, I would see the Benetton and the Coca-Colas, the North Face, the CB jackets, the Asics and stuff like that they was getting busy with, the Jerry G's. I would see that. And then after I seen that, it was just like gradual. Like, so I got a little older, and then I moved to 96 and A and B across the street from Brookdale, which, if anybody knows that area, if you go through the hospital, you in Brownsville. So 1 block away from my crib was Brownsville. So after junior high school, after regular school, instead of getting zoned to my 11, which the rest of my block went to, they zoned me to 275 because they said I had bad behavior. So they put me in 275 across the street from the co-op. If anybody knows that area, that is it's like a not school. Like, you gotta really know, you gotta be sharp on your wits. It's surrounded by projects. Everybody from there is from either Riverdale, Plaza, co-ops, Brownsville houses, MGV, Ceflo, Tilden, Van Dyke. All you getting people from all over. So you getting all these different personalities, all kind of different grind. This is when we start talking the low language, or what I want to say. The low language meaning a couple of people had horsey shirts from their mother and stuff, and that's what we was rocking. But then as 87 hit, I remember the Plastic Cats came to school, and they all had, it was about 20 of them, and they all had Unigoop. And it just caught my eye like a rainbow, and I'm like, oh shit. So like I said, I'm gonna revert back to me being Muslim. On Christmas time, I don't get Christmas presents because we don't celebrate Christmas in Islam. So, but my mother will always make sure I had a new coat for the new winter. So boom, she asked me a couple of days after I see these gooses, what kind of coat you want? In winter, I tell her I want a polo goose. She don't ask me where they sell it at. She take me to King's Plaza. We go get the joint. It was like $1 something. She grabbed me with the tricolor red, blue, and yellow joint. And she got me that. I got back to school with that now. I live on 96 and A and B, which is if anybody know that area, it's just a little nicer than Brownsville. It's a little bit nicer, a lot more private houses. So the people from Brownsville have more of a stigma with the dudes from my area, like they live in better, so they would test us. But when I got that coat, I became one and done with the Plaza dude. They really respected what I was doing and what I was doing. That didn't make me low life yet. When I get to the 8th grade, Jervis, I call him Jarvis, but his name is Jervis. That Cloud little brother was in my class, and he started talking to me about low life this, low life that, low life this, and I still ain't learning. I'm learning it, and I'm seeing all the pieces. I don't know nothing about no VIs until I talked to my man Corey in school. Corey came to school in 275. In the 8th grade, he had the Gucci kicks, the Gucci sweatsuit. And I asked the nigga, I said, yo son, your parents rich or something? He like, nah, son, I be boosting. That's the first time I heard that term ever. So when he said, I said, what's that? He told me what it was. Shortly after, I get kicked out of 275 and they send me over to 391 over on New York Ave in Crown Heights. Now I'm over there with the Albany cats. I'm over there with some St. John's cats, Roscoe Lowe, Frank Lowe, my man Possum, Fabian would come up to the school. A lot of different cats. Shout out Life Low. Life Low went there. My man Classic went there. There was a lot of low heads went to the school. So now I'm learning more about the culture, like the symbols, the cookie, and this and that, and this and that. Now I'm taking my time trying to go out on little Mia, but I don't have no template on what to do. We're going to revert back to me being Muslim. My Muslim brother J-Lo, not J-Lo YNN. Shout out to my brother J-Lo YNN. But my man Jabbar, he was Muslim and he was running with Low Life early. And he would sell me pieces here and there. Come to the crib and sell me pieces because he was a family friend. I would beg him, son, take me over there with them. I want to get down. And he would be like, nah, son, you're going to get turned out. You're going to get turned out. But I think he only did that so he could keep selling me pieces. So one time he said, yo, I'm going to take you to the John and we going to go get busy. I said, bet. We end up not going to the John, and just me and him go to the city, which is a term called city slicking. We were city slicking, and we didn't really catch a little bit of nothing, a couple of nautical pieces, maybe some that pieces, nothing crazy. So I didn't get crazy. I learned from him not to get crazy in the city. So anywhere out of town, Jersey, anywhere, I would go and get this. Gradually, I was getting pieces and pieces. Within this story, in 91, my mother decides to move up to Cali. So I have this whole low-life mentality. Now I have been running around on Martins, the old Flatbush area, the mad low-life. My man Clep, we ended up being with Junior Mafia. I ended up running around with him, learning boosting tactics. And now I'm with the boosting elite. I'm rocking the pieces. I'm doing what I do. I got the backpack. I'm linked with a couple of cats with John. I'm over on Kingston. I'm linked in now. But right as soon as I get in, my mom swooped me away and we moved to Cali. When we moved to Cali, she moved me to a place that had no recollection. It's nothing like New York. And not for nothing, it was a whole Crip town. We moved to a place called Seaside, California, and it was nothing but Crips there. I didn't even see the other side over there. They wasn't there, but that's another story. But anyway, when I get to Cali, and with all these low-life thoughts and knowledge that I got, when I get to Cali was wrecked. There's no alarms on certain things. You go to the low mansion, the lady is stocking in the back and leave you in the front, so we killing. We killing lens crafter for the local lenses. We steaming out of guest spots. We steaming out of a spot called Outdoor World, which is like the same thing as Paragon for, you know, Mad Colombian jacket and stuff. Like it's wreck. Like we killing it.
Pawn Self, they had the same type of low out there in Cali that they had in New York?
Definitely. The same thing. If you went to Macy's, Macy's had the same thing. Maybe not like, yeah, at the same time. Like if you go to old Macy's on the same country, whatever Goose drops, like when the CP92 shit dropped, I remember when it first dropped, when the stadium shit dropped, and I was out there. In Cali, so yeah, they had the same shit out there. The same low mansion, but the low mansion didn't have no buzzers, no crazy security. You didn't need a parent to go inside there. It was just crazy. Fifth Avenue, the Nordica store, everything out there, we was killing it. It was me and it was my man Shaka. Shaka is my man from 391, which was school that I just mentioned, but he lived in Cali before I did. So when I got out there and asked my man out there, like, it ain't nobody out here from Brooklyn, and he introduced me to Shaka. The first conversation me and Shaka had was like, yo, when you from in Brooklyn? I told him where I was from. He was like, you be boosting? I was like, yeah. He's like, you know about the low lights? I was like, yeah, my name's Squint Low. I am low lights. He was like, let's go on the Mia. And this was the first time that I ever went on the Mia in a car. So we went on the Mia in the car and went crazy. We steaming, running out with 6 to 10 jackets like it's nothing, because Cali wasn't on that time. This is like late 91, 92. They wasn't on that time. They didn't even know nothing about that movement. They didn't have security to even to deal with that kind of stuff. But later on in Cali, I ended up getting caught out there because we bagging the same mall every day after school. Every day. We going to this place called the Tin Can. We killing it for Nordica, Timberland, Akajob. If anybody remember that, they had the silk shirts and the jeans. He was killing that. And one day, when we get back to the car, police was by the car, and we got like 10 pair of Guess jeans from the last spot that we had just hit across the street. It was one cop in the mall following us, and we dodged him, got back to the car, and there was another cop by the car. So they bagged us, we run, we jumping fences and shit like that for about an hour, and finally we come out. And we go to jail. That was my first time. See, cool thing about me is I've been very strategic. When I lived in New York, I've done the illest shit in New York. I can't even talk about it all that I've done in this amount of time in New York, but I've done some real heinous shit in New York, and that was the reason for my mother moving me out of New York. Like a lot of the stories that goes on your platform that a lot of the people tell last, that's the shit my mother moved me out for. Like, oh, you want that? Okay, yeah, it's time to go. So when I got out there, I learned a lot of different things. The boosting lasted for a minute, but then I learned the crack era like times 100. Like in New York, I knew about it and I tried it, but I never liked it. I never knew nothing. I didn't know the connect. I was just like, all the way at the bottom of the totem pole. When you get there, you're like, oh shit, you can go here and do this and have this for yourself, and then make this all yourself at night, and then redo it okay. So I learned that shit out there in Cali as a youngster, and that became my lifestyle for a few years, in which is one thing that I say in my life that I never brag about, because when I did that shit, I always felt like the devil was on my back. I never was happy about it. I never made me super rich. It's just something that I did. I knew how to do it, and it was something cool. But at the same time, I was rapping, so that was the only thing that would keep me safe. But like I was saying, I touched central bookings all through Brooklyn, but no Rikers, no Spofford, because I was strategic. My mans and them will be talking about, yo, we going to steal cars now, y'all got ahead. They'll be talking about, yo, we gonna go rob something, yeah, it's quick and easy, and not, yeah, I'm with that. But you gotta grow out of that eventually. So eventually I grew out of that by going to California, and by doing the music, it just kept me safe. Eventually, when I got to California in 91, I was back in Brooklyn in 93. Because I had just ran amok in Cali and did so much shit that my mother was like, yo, you got to get out of here. Like, I had dealt with a situation where I had stolen something. I had boosted a big item to try to sell them. And the nigga that bought this shit from me gave me some bad work. So you already know how the rules go when that kind of shit happens, how I was thinking about this shit. So my mother get wind of how I'm thinking, because I talked to a few people about it, and I thought it was my uncle, R.I.P. to my uncle, but it wasn't my uncle. It was the shorty I was dealing with at the time. Told my mother, like, yo, your son is on this, and that, and I think you need to deal with it. So my mom's hit me on the beep at the time and told me to come to the crib. And I came to her crib, and she was like, she had $500 in the envelope and told me to pack my bags and drop you off at the Greyhound. And she sent me back to New York. That shit probably saved my life. We wouldn't even be having this conversation, and I wouldn't even know how to get on Instagram or YouTube to deal with, to even know about St. Last, word is born. And my mother didn't save me, but I get back to New York, and I moved back to Westbury Court, right on Flatbush Avenue. That's where my pops lived. And I was just back. When I got back, I kept in my mind, like, I ain't on no street shit no more. Like, I ain't on no sucker shit, but I'm not on no street shit. I ain't selling nothing. I ain't doing that. So I start just dealing with music. And because I knew a few people before I left, I had a few friends, and my man Ted from East New York took me to Lord Jamal crib, which happened to be 560 State Street downtown, across the street from the clock, which everybody knows is famous of where Jay-Z once lived. And at this particular time, they lived across the hall from them. These was condo complexes, and this is where Lord Jamal lived. So I was going there rhyming for Jamal, and Jamal ended up wanting to sign me, so this was a current place that I was going. So I would go there and deal with Lord Jamal. He Buckshot over there, he Clark Kent. In the midst of that, as time passes, now it's like 95, and Lord Jamal take us to the Source Awards after party. The one where Suge was like, with everybody dancing in the videos, but I didn't know that he said that because shit wasn't televised yet, you know? So when we go to the after party, they fronting on us at the tunnel, and they not trying to let everybody in. So we finally get in, and when we get in there, as soon as I get in there, the first people I see is like Puff, Mary J, and Big at the first bar when you go in. If you know about the tunnel, as soon as I got in there, first bar downstairs, that's where I seen them. We go up, we end up going upstairs, but before we go upstairs, Death Row come through. It's about 30 of them. Still, Snoop, Corrupt, Daz, Nate, everybody. They flow through the joint, and when they flow through, somehow one of their little niggas get lost in the shuffle, and while they go up the VIP, so now the nigga lost, and only because I know Cali culture and recognize him by his Pendleton and blah blah blah, and you know, so I say to him, I'm like, yo, you good? And he like, no, you seen which way Snoop and them went? And I'm like, yo, he going up to the VIP. I'm like, hurry up and get up there. Not like it was a problem, because I didn't know that they had a problem, but I just knew that this little nigga walking around in the tunnel dolo wasn't a safe thing. So we end up being upstairs. I'm upstairs in the VIP with Lord Jamal, Clark Kent be in the booth with some shorties. Should come over to our table and like motion at the shorties with his head to like come with him. They didn't come with him, but it was just like, yo, this is like the beginning of me personally saying like, yo, this is the ill nigga right here. But you know, Brooklyn was heavy in there, New York was heavy, so we wasn't worried, but it was just a situation where you could see son showing his machoism. And me being in there, like I said, I had just came from Cali, so I noticed what was going on around us, which some people might have not noticed yet. I noticed how dudes was moving. I could see how many people that they had in there that was doing certain things. I knew what they looked like because people didn't recognize that look. So yeah, I ended up doing all of that shit, running around with Lord Jamal, pardon me, and trying to sign with him and doing shit. But through the course of that, I ended up, when I came back after I had went to jail for boosting in Cali and shit, I came back and a lot of the local shit that I had, I was selling to niggas in Brooklyn. I would do meetups with niggas and just sell some of the pieces just to get dope. because I was like over it as far as boosting just to stay fresh. Like if I couldn't sell it like you could do in New York, I didn't even want to do that shit no more. I'm like, nah, I'm over and done with this shit. And I got over and done with the boosting. And I won't even say 100% because any chance given and something could be boosted, it'll be boosted. I came across a lot of shit, even doing other things, and I run across some crazy low or a quick juke and might move on it. But now we old. I'm old now, 49 now, so I ain't doing nothing crazy like that to jeopardize my freedom. I don't got time or even the patience to spend another day in jail right now. And that's what it is, man.
That's a fact, bro. That's a fact. That's you. How long you was in Cali still rocking low? Was it other dudes out there in Cali low down, or you stopped doing that once you got to Cali because you was looking different?
Nah. I never stopped rocking low. No, I'ma say no. No. When we got out here, there was no. I remember when I used to rock low in Cali early, they used to be like, "Why you rocking them golf shirts?" And they was rocking the Dickies back then, and I would be like, I'd be like, "Why y'all niggas wear janitor outfit?" I'm like, "Them shits is janitor outfits. That's what the janitors wear at the public schools back in Brooklyn." And they would laugh about it. Then certain niggas would feel it, and they would buy like a couple of horsey shirts. Niggas that was getting money, they'll come buy a couple of horsey shirts, 25 would pop off you, but it wasn't consistent. The shorties wasn't on it. The shorties wasn't like, "Yo, could you get me a Gucci bag?" So no, they wasn't really on it. Later on, years later, I moved to Oakland, and when I moved to Oakland, it's more like Oakland is got a little bit more like Brooklyn swag. It's kind of like Bed-Stuy. You know what I mean? And when we was out there, they was rocking low a little bit. They was rocking Fila suits a little bit. So then when I came out there and really put the game down with like, okay, I'm rocking low. Like my area in Cali, which is it's called the Dubs. They call it the Murder Dubs. For the lack of better words, we call it the Dubs now. And that particular area in Oakland, they say son, they say done because of me. They'll roll up to me, "Yo, son, what up with it, done? What's good with you?" This and that, and they rock polo. We had a stint probably in like from 2010, 2011 or 12. I was selling like the whole hood low out there. Everybody had low out there, but it's not a big culture. Even now, like you might see some of the young boys out here rocking low now, but back then when I first came out here in '91, no, there was no culture for low out here at all, like zero. Yeah, well, they didn't know about it, and the stores, the retail stores, definitely didn't know that kids wanted it, so it wasn't heavily guarded. Wasn't no wires through shit and none of that. They're like, it's crazy, and I used to tell them a little early that it was ill out there, but
So you said at first you wasn't in Oakland, you was in a different part of Cali?
Yeah, I was in Seaside, California, which is south. Like headed towards LA, which is about an hour or so from the Bay Area. You know what I mean? It was like an hour or so from the Bay. And like there was nothing out there. When I first got off the plane, I remember it was so much land and shit there because it's not tall buildings, everything's flat. So when the first thing I seen like that caught my eye was the outlets. That shit was like probably like 50 miles away from where we lived. And I remember they had the low outlet, Liz Claiborne, Fila, all kind of shit, the Nike outlet. And I seen it and I was like, yo, I gotta make my way back there. So like when my mother took me school shopping, that's how I learned the town. That's how I seen how the stores move. Like when you go to a store out there, the sneaker store gonna have both of the sneakers in the box in the store for you to try on. You ain't gotta go ask for it and the lady get it and it's changed to a whole different thing. So I was going in there, changing sneakers, woofing Fila suits, 5-6 Fila suits at the same time, woofing 6 pair of glasses down my arm, taking shoes off the mannequin, Just all kind of crazy shit. Really learning how the security moved in Macy's out there, because it was a lot slower. Like, I would know the store closed at 10. We come to that motherfucker at 9:40. Security off the floor.
Niggas said niggas was taking the shoes off. Niggas was taking shit off the mannequins and all of that.
The Polo Country moccasins. The Polo Country moccasins, the low top joints with the buckle over them, yes sir, off the mannequin. Because when you get to the low section at night, there's nobody guarding this. There's nobody there. It's not like 34th Street. It's not like Kings Plaza. It's not like Flatbush. It's different. They're like, man, let's get off the floor. Ain't nobody buying this. You know, that low was special out there. Not everybody rocked it, but it was a boating area. There was a lot of water over there, so you would get like Anglo-Saxon people buying those shirts and stuff. But the urban market, the blacks wasn't on that at all. So they didn't. When you was over in the section, it was like, whatever. They wouldn't even pay no attention. That's how I caught my the Joe Pesci hoodie. I caught it in Macy's in the ladies section, the gray and blue joint with the big letters on it. I seen that. I was like, it's time to be out of here with this. Boop. Boop, man. I got a dozen stories about Houston and Cali. Cali was everything that the older lowlifes used to tell me about when I was young, about them going out of town to different spots. I got a full understanding of that. I said, now I understand what they're talking about. You go to a different town, they on a different time. They're not worried about no ski gooses or nothing. They're like, those are the coats that ain't selling. They ain't worried about that. The illest Houston thing that I ever did out in Cali was, there was a store called Put On, and they sold guests. I had a little job out there at one time, so I drove past it and stopped over there on my break and seen that they had the guests in there. It happened to be across the street from a police station, right? So when we get grimy and I get with my mans, I tell my man, like, yo, I know this spot we can catch. We ain't got to go to the regular spot. Let's go to Put On. He was like, where that's at? I tell him where it's at. But I don't tell them that the police department is across the street. Like, it wasn't a big police department. And if you didn't know, you didn't know. So we go in there, the ladies is stocking. They like up on the ladders and stuff. We go in there, you know, thinking that we was going to be up the back some shit. But we couldn't up the back nothing because, you know, they had their whole eye on the floor. We go back to the car, and I'm like, I'm going back in. They're like, what you going to do? I'm like, I'm about to steam out with mad shit. The lady up on the ladder, they ain't about to chase us. They don't give a fuck. I go back in there. Me and my man go back up in there. Me and Shaka go in there. We grab like mad stacks of guest farmers, the guest jackets, the jumpers, like at least 6 pieces each. We come back to the car. My man drive off, and we go crazy. When we driving off, we laughing like, yo, we caught wreck. And I said, you know what? I ain't tell y'all niggas. They like, what? I was like, police station was across the street. And they was like, yo, son, you grimy for that. But you know, that's just that's what you call, that's some Brooklyn shit. That's how you gotta think. You gotta think fast like that. Like we moving so fast, like the police across the street ain't even gonna know what's going on. By the time they get the call, we gonna be gone.
Hey yo, make sure you check the rest of the low life content that's on the channel. Interviews with legends like Thurston Howell III and more. You heard? Z Lord, get at me.